what they say. I don't care what they think. If you leave, I'm gonna beg you to stay. I don't care if they start to avoid me. I don't care what they do. I don't care about anything else but being with you, being with you. Honey, don't go, don't need to see. Be out of the picture, off of the screen. Don't let them say we told you so. They tell me you love me and you let me go. I've heard the warning voice from friends and my relations. They tell me all about your heartbreak reputation. I don't care what they think about me. I don't care what they say. No. I don't care what they think. If you leave, I'm gonna beg you to stay. I don't care if they start to avoid me. I don't care what they do. I don't care about anything else but being with you, being with you. People can change, they always do. Haven't they noticed the changes in you? Or can it be that like love I am blind? Do I want it so much till it's all in my mind? One thing I know for sure is real, real. I've never felt before the way you make me feel. I don't care what they think about me. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they think. If you leave, I'm gonna beg you to stay. I don't care if they start to avoid me. I don't care what they do. I don't care about anything else but being with you, being with you, being with you, being with you. I don't care about anything else but being with you, being with you. I want to be with you. I don't care if it's being with you. Yup, y'all. That was the great Smokey Robinson. One of the best Motown artists that ever did it. I think the only one that I put above him is Stevie Wonder, only because I learned of Stevie Wonder really young. I didn't know of Smokey Robinson until later on in life. But the point is that today I happened to catch Smokey Robinson go and do a little video. I didn't even know that he had a channel that he posts videos on his channel, and I was very, very stunned to see he did a response video for selecting Kamala Harris as the one he wants to become president of the United States. I am really kind of heartbroken. I don't even have the words to really express to you how disappointed I am, if in case he is listening, because I did, in fact, at him. I don't know if he's savvy on YouTube or not, but I do want to have a message or a conversation with him to let him know that I feel that that was the wrong decision to take. in endorsing Kamala Harris of all people. You know, it can be said that a lot of boomers have really let us down as Generation Xers, and others. They're supposed to have the foresight and understanding and discernment to tell when there's somebody that's not really a good person. And instead of seeing Kamala Harris for what she really is, he is doing the same thing all the other celebrities are doing. And that is just blindly trying to lead us to the slaughter. There is nothing about Kamala Harris that is reminiscent to a woman being righteous, reminiscent to a woman being honest, reminiscent of this woman trying to tell us the truth as far as what her agenda really truly entails. She truly has an agenda. She has been picked up by George Soros and all the other globalists, Bill Gates and others, have paid into her campaign to try to bolster her and promote her, when knowing that all along that their agenda is about dismantling America. Here we are in 2024, and the border czar, Kamala Harris, instead of being chastised, ridiculed, criticized, banished, she's being cloaked, hugged, and put up on a pedestal to worship. I want to show y'all what Smokey Robinson had to say. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say fair use of videos, all videos that I show. Hopefully, if you do watch this, Smokey Robinson, you won't get upset because, as you say, we all American. I have a lot of respect for you. I'm going to try to be very respectful because I did this at you in hopes that you would see this. But I do want to do a response video to your video that you did today. And you entitled it, Vote for Kamala. And I don't think you understand how big your influence is, because out of all the celebrities that have ever endorsed Kamala, I would say that you hit different, because you seem like a very honorable, righteous guy. And a lot of things you stood for in talking about your identity in particular, with you not going along with being called African American, is very helpful to us as Black Americans, because a lot of people have said that we are not enough here in America, that we don't really belong here, and that we are not deserving to be included in this fabric of America, although everything comes from us here in America. And you have allowed us to have our self-esteem, and yet you throw it to the wind when it comes to Kamala Harris. I mean, out of all the endorsements, you are the most disappointing. And then I would say Magic is after you. All the others, they seem like they've been bought and paid for. I don't know about Magic, and I hope to goodness you haven't been bought and paid for. I don't know what your theory is, but I guess we're going to hear this video in a little bit. But you really didn't say a whole lot, but your message for just mentioning her name is going to be picked up by a lot of people, and a lot of people just off of GP, out of respect for you, might just fall for the scam of just listening to you. I know that you're not scamming, but it is a scam because she's a fraud. She's not real. So let's now look at your video and see what you had to say. And you said vote. You said a lot in this small clip, but you said an awful lot. If you guys could, please like and share the video. I would greatly appreciate it, and subscribe to my channel. Let's go.
Okay, let me start by saying I'm not a Democrat or a Republican.
I'm an American, and I love my country. So just off the gate, you say something very powerful. You say you're not a Democrat, you're not an American. I mean, you're not a Democrat, you're not a Republican, you are an American. That is the message that Black Americans need to hear, that we are not beholden to a party. We should be beholden to the allegiance to America, being American. And that is exactly the message that I try to convey on my platform as well. So hearing you say that is very heartbreaking, because it's the truth that you are coming out the gate speaking your truth, but it just doesn't land very well when you place it on Kamala Harris. Nice to have a job that supported me, the chance to go all over the world. And as far as I'm concerned, the United States of America is the greatest country on earth. I've been voting since before most of you who probably see this video was even born. And it's my right as an American. It's my privilege. That's the beauty of being in America. We can vote and decide who we want to run our country. Even though there are still those in some areas of the country who are putting up all kind of voting schemes that would prevent me from voting because I'm a man of color. And that's not just it, Smokey. The Democrats are doing their best to try to include these illegals on rolls to also be included to vote. And states and cities are fighting. I'm pretty sure there are going to be a lot more that's going to discuss that. I will get to a brief clip of that in a little bit in this video, but to show you that there are investigations already ongoing about fraudulent voting going on. And I'm pretty sure it's the beginning of many, many more to come. So it's not just on the notion that you're Black. That's what the Democrats would like you to believe, that that's all that it is, but it's much greater than that. They're trying to hijack the notion of voting by replacing our votes with illegals if they have it their way. And so you need to understand that the Democrats are demonic, and they are our enemies. They are especially enemies to Black folks that you are representative to talking to. And I hope that this video will convey exactly what I'm trying to say. Let's go. I've never felt the need to campaign publicly until now. This is the most important election of my lifetime. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a choice between good and evil. I really don't understand how any person of color or any woman could find it in their hearts to vote for Donald Trump. And see that right there, already you're demonizing Trump. You're going along with this, the Democrat, that Trump is the boogeyman, that Trump is a fascist, that Trump is a Nazi, that Trump is a racist. All these other messaging, misinformation that's been spewed about Trump, you're also repeating it. Is as if you've been given your orders to speak now because of what you're saying right here, because you're following suit with what everybody else is saying. What can you say different about Trump? What is it? I'm sure that you probably crossed paths with Trump before. What is he to you as another man to another man? Saying the general statement that Democrats are feeding to the populace is really not good to do as someone as big as you are, as a superstar. I would have preferred if you would have gave examples, not just spewing the same rhetoric that's been spewed all throughout the media, social media, the news, and other types of things of that nature. I think that you're bigger and better than that, in my opinion. Spoiled brat child who retaliates against anyone who opposes him on any issue. So because his father made a fortune and gave his son, which we all would want to do, some wealth that he passed on to him, that somehow makes him a brat and makes him incapable of ruling over the policies that will help benefit Americans overall. Um, Trump is for American first. That is the part that I don't think many people get. Um, he is not for immigration first, illegal immigration, that is, first. He is not for big corporations that are squeezing out Americans and taking away our ability to, take care of ourselves as Americans. He is for trying to bring back those things that used to be, like the 80s and the 90s, when jobs were plentiful and we were known for manufacturing all over the place. We had factories all over the place. We were not needing China for this and that and the other. We weren't importing so many different goods from all over the place. We had all that stuff done and made by USA. I remember in the 80s just going to stores and all you would see is made in America all over the place. Now you'd be hard pressed to find anything made in America. And this is what he wants to bring back. That is what Make America Great Again symbolizes, is bringing back what was the old Make America Great Again, the old Made in America, the old factories and manufacturing jobs that would keep us afloat. He would like to be the leader in bringing back that life that we used to know. And instead, people are villainizing Trump, making him to be this dictator type of guy. I know that he has a brass attitude and way of speaking and demeanor, but underneath all of that, he is generally for America. And somehow you have watched a whole lot of stuff that talks negatively about Trump, and you have wholeheartedly taken that all in your vessel and being, and now you projecting what you feel we ought to think and feel like you are projecting. I believe it's a projection, and I think that you have been influenced by the Democratic Party because maybe you've been influenced by them somehow. You said you're not a Democrat, you're not a Republican, but you are influenced by them somehow. And I don't know what that somehow is. I wish I would have a conversation with you to pick your brain to see where all this is coming from, who influenced you to even come out. I was really shocked to even see that you did come out, because I thought that you were pretty much going to leave people to vote their own way, because, as you say, we all are Americans. We have this right and this and that and the other. But let's get back to this.
And he always retaliates negatively. He's already said that if he's elected, you don't have to worry about voting again, which means that he's planning on being a dictator. That's what he wants.
That's not what he means. He means that if you let him get it right this go around, all the other times that you don't care to vote, you won't have to have this feeling that you have to do or die to vote. Because right now, Smokey, I feel like we're going to do or die behind having a Kamala Harris, for instance. We will not survive as America. And I feel like if I don't vote this time, if I didn't vote this time, that my voice would have been snuffed out forever because of all the things that the Democrats have been trying to do with stealing and hijacking for future elections. And that's what he's saying. Well, if you give me this election, I will make America so prosperous and so good. By time 4 years rolls around, you won't have this angst feeling to have to vote, because you're feeling the anxiety, the despair, the hopelessness right now, the anxiousness, the anger, all these different emotions, sadness that we're feeling right now about this country. If all those feelings go away because of how he will set back America where it needs to be, come around 2028, then you'll feel a difference about needing to vote. That's what he meant. But people would like to always put words in his mouth and make him out into an incredible demonic devil that people are depicting Trump as being, and that's just not what he is, truth be told.
And can you imagine a man like that being in that kind of power to run our country forever or until he passes?
He did not say forever or until he passes. This is called misinformation, Smokey. He just said that one time he needs this one election to get things back in order. And then after this election, if you don't care to vote no more after, because there's a lot of people that don't vote ever. There's a lot of people that never care to vote, but this go around they are. And he's saying because of you new time voters are now coming out in droves for the first time, and you feel the gravity of America being less and less and less, help the country by voting me in. And that way I have the opportunity to get America back to where it needs to be. And then the next election, if you choose not to, America's not going to be so messed up to where you could miss out if you decide to. That's what he is saying.
That would be horrible. And he's also blaming homelessness on the Democratic Party. Homelessness is running rampant all over the world, not just here in the United States. It's a shame that we have to have homelessness. And I feel
it is a shame that we have homelessness, and it is a shame that we are putting illegal immigrants over Americans. That's the shaming part. It's a shame that veterans are homeless on the streets. I know of one. He's been homeless for like 5 years. He has a hard time getting his veterinarian veteran stuff. And it's just not a good story that he's told me. I'm sure that there's other stories, a lot of maimed vets that are out there that can't get medical stuff for their needs, for what has happened to them while they were in war. But we place illegals over those people too. We've been traveling down this separate path that leads us to nowhere. And these Democrats are the people that's driving us to nowhere. So to think to put the Democrats back in power for another 4 years, in my opinion, you are absolutely wrong. Now, in your platform, I did make a comment on your video, and people said that, well, one person said that you're not going to even read it. And because they said that you weren't going to read it, I decided to make it my business to do this video. So I hope someone tells you about this video, and I hope that you would make a comment in the comment section, because I'm not trying to be disrespectful. You're one of my favorite artists of Motown, like I said, and it is shocking that you, of all people, would back Kamala Harris. I thought that you could see past some of her rhetoric. But I said to you that I love you, but you are wrong promoting Kamala Harris. She's a liar. Can't you see? You're wrong this time. And there were people that try to respond and say, well, one said, Mark says, why not stay out of politics, Smokey? This is too much. And somebody else said to me that that's your opinion. He's expressing his. I'm expressing mine. It's what we call freedom. This is America. And I told this person to mind their own business. The message is for Smokey. Is your name Smokey? Shut up. And so this other person wanted to interject and say he isn't going to read your comment. If you don't want anyone to respond to you, don't post on a public comment section. So this is why I decided to do this video, in hopes that you would, in fact, see this video and maybe respond and give more clarity as to why you are voting and promoting a Kamala Harris, because I think that it's a little bit too extreme for you to promote her when you don't really know what she's capable of. She has not really told us who she really is. We have seen past videos of her in her heyday of putting away Black men and women in jail, truancy laws and marijuana laws and other types of crimes that she has put Black folks into jail. And now all of a sudden you want us to put a prosecuting, ideology-filled person with seemingly disdain for Americans in office. And that is not working for me. And I would like to have an understanding, if you could do another video to express why you're going this route this time.
People who are homeless. There are a lot of great people who are out there homeless. Homeless doesn't mean that you're a drug addict or an alcoholic or anything like that, or a derelict. Homeless means that you've fallen on hard times. You just don't have a home.
I never heard Trump mention anything messed up about homeless people. I don't know where you're getting this statement from, saying that Trump said something against homeless people. When, where? Could you explain that a little bit clearer?
But it's happening all over the world. And he's blaming Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for it. That's a joke. And I want to ask you another question too. There are people going around, and I think, I'm not sure if he set this up, talking about what they had when he was in office. Are there any middle class people or any poor people who can say that? Who had it so great when Donald Trump was in office? And if you notice, he's put down every person of color that he can. President Obama, he's trying to undo everything that Obama accomplished while he was in office.
Obama ain't done a damn thing for nobody. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm confused. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat room before I continue, because I really am trying to understand every point and cranny of what this man means, but he is kind of jumping off the cliff, jumping out the window for Kamala Harris, and he's making it seem like he knows Trump so well and that we can just trust his words to make the conclusion that Trump is untrustworthy. But I don't think he said enough to really convey that, and the video is not much longer. I don't think he has said enough to really convey that Trump is really a bad person, just off of hearsay, just off of what the media has been saying, and just off of the Democrats and what they've been trying to do. But we've been watching you Democrats for 4 years, going on 4 years now. And we see how you've been behaving as of late, being in power. And you totally have turned your back on Americans. You totally have left us out in the cold while we're on the outside looking in, as you perform and do miracles for illegals coming up over here. And you want to make real light of the issue of immigration that's going on, this illegal immigration that's going on. And the Democrats are the author of what's going on with these illegals over here. There's no mention of that so far with Smokey Robinson, and a lot of Democrats steer clear of that conversation as best they can. But that is the conversation that I want to talk about, and that's the conversation that I wish that people that do support Kamala could really Explain. Golden Brown says, when you get a chance, play Rolls Royce Love Don't Live Here Anymore. Okay, yeah, maybe I'll play that. Thank you for that selection. Remind me again, Golden Brown, at the end, because I might forget. What's up, Outlaw Josie Wells, Trump 2024 and garbage? I don't think that none of us are garbage. I don't want to receive the notion that we're garbage because they said so. What I want to say is that he is the garbage master, Biden, who has really destroyed America, and he should hold the title. I don't think that we should be holding the title, but I get what you mean. You also said deplorable Trump supporter here. No, you're not deplorable. I don't think that any of us should accept those negative words that they're spewing after us because, again, it's just too easy to try to pin us with that negative junk that they're trying to put on us. What are you talking about? You sound crazy. Well, you don't have to be here, news, resources, and fact. Let me just remove you now. Bye-bye. Well, that's it. Okay, bye, Smokey. Bye, Smokey. Tanya, thank you for that. He is easily manipulated. Just stroke his ego, Charles says. I don't know. Maybe that could be it because he's very charming. Maybe people came out and got a hold of him indirectly and charmed him over the phone and gave him like nice compliments and say, "Oh, you're such a wonderful singer and star. I've been in awe of you for a long time." And maybe that's all it took. But that's not enough to really give a endorsement for Kamala Harris and what she's been doing after all this time as a vice president, and no one wants to hold her accountable, and I'm going to hold her accountable. She was the border czar. She did create this issue, and she needs to be held accountable for all of it. Trump 2024. That's right. No, that's not AI. That's actually Mozart. That's Smokey Robinson with this latest video that he did today. You said, I remember that too. It was plenty of factories everywhere. Yes, Mozart. I remember going to stores and only seeing American produced. I very rarely remember seeing it from China or from India or from some other place. We were top-notch producers. And that's what I think Trump means about going back to what America used to be like. And I think that that's what he means by making America great again. He wants to be the main producer of production and manufacturing again. And that's why I need to support someone that wants to have a vision for us to go back to when it was plentiful, when we were at the top of the game of what's going on in this world. Right now, we are behind and we need so much from so many other countries, from China and so many other places, that we can't survive without them. And he doesn't want us living like that anymore. So this is why he wants to take us back to a time when we did not need or want for anything. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Charles says Smokey has a plastic surgeon that never says no as long as the check clears. Wow. It does look like he did something. I was just thinking that too. That's ironic you said that. You said the factories went to where they could find cheaper labor to increase profits. But, the likes of, who was it, Reagan and Clinton, didn't they gut, for the most part, all the manufacturing and production type of jobs? Charles also said, what did Trump mean when he said shithole countries? Well, he's not lying, Charles. When he says these countries are shitholes, what he's saying that they are not built, they're not established. A lot of them do in third world countries shit outside, for instance. A lot of these people from these countries don't want to be in those countries because they don't want to live like that. So they make their way to America, to the UK, to Canada, to all the other places that they can get to. so that they can flee from where they come from, because they don't want to be in their country, because in their mind they feel like it's a shithole. It's not just Trump saying it. It's these people also from these countries that come over here seeking asylum and claiming to be this and that and the other, and war, and this is happening, and famine is happening, and all these other things are going on. So it's not a figment of imagination that everybody would like to be here versus where they came from. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this crisis going on now. You thought he was solid? Yeah, I did. I really did think he was solid. Let me see. Why'd you get rid of him? Hey, don't get rid of Charles. I was reading his statements. Don't do that. Whoever did that, Fred, can you undo that? Hold on, let me put him on timeout. I'm bringing you back. Don't time Charles out. He was okay. Even if he was a dictator, look at his age. Mozart, he's not a dictator. What he's saying, what I'm gathering from what he says, is that you need to be bold and blunt these 4 years to get things back to where they need to be. You need to have managerial skills. You need to have building skills. You need to know who to appoint this and who to bring in for that to get things back on the right track. That's what he means. Miss D, what's up? You said Smokey selling out. How you going to be a proud American, but talking about voting for Kamala, cosplaying black and prioritizing illegals? Exactly, Miss D. I don't get it. Smokey Robinson still got some explaining to do. And I'm going to get back to his video in just a second. I just wanted to read a few of you guys' comments. Nobody should be homeless in this world. You be homeless in this world, Golden Brown says. What do you mean by that? Nobody should be hungry in this world. I blame this artificial world government. Yes, the whole world is demonic. But Trump, like I said, is not a part of this establishment. He's not been bought and sold like all the others. He has his own money and he has his own brain. He's not being told by George Soros what to do and how to think and how to parrot certain things. So we can lean on his ability to change things better than I would believe Harris would be able to do. You said a lot of black celebrities have been paid off. Yes, they have. And I'm just wondering, I don't feel like he would be the type to be bought out. I know it's very depressing, Charles. 130 people watching and nobody wants to hit the like. Please hit the like, y'all. It's very frustrating for y'all to be sitting up here, especially if you're a Trump supporter. Hit the like. It's not that hard to do. You said, I hate to see people suffering unnecessarily because of someone else's greed. Yeah. Fred says she is the barter czar. She's opened the borders up wide. Open. Exactly. It is pathetic, but I really have a lot of respect for Smokey Robinson, and I want him to do the right thing. I hope that he would recant this endorsement, because again, he's not saying enough to give endorsement to her. Golden Brown says there is plenty of housing in America, but because it is for profit, that is why there is a house shortage. Exactly. And you said Constable says, well, it didn't cost me an arm and a leg while Trump was in office. The economy crashed underneath both Obama and Biden. So I'm not sure. Hard to tell which one's better. Well, from where I'm sitting and how I was when Trump was in office versus right now, the cost of living is just way extreme. Everybody's suffering off of gas and off of inflation and off of rent, off of going to the grocery store. It is horrible to get one bag of food. You're spending a lot of money and you're not seeing why your money is being eaten up so quick. I went to the store today and I got ate up $40 and I barely had a couple of bags and it didn't even have a big item in there. It was just like a little bit of stuff. It's ridiculous. Charles says, I have 2 grandkids, and if Obama did anything for us, my grandson and my granddaughter would be benefiting from that right now. He can do Jack-ish. That's right. Profit, LOM, profit. Yeah, okay, Badger Life. You said, I don't have much in common with a Motown musician with a net worth of over $150 million. Okay. He's not middle class or lower class, yet he's out here speaking like the common individual. That's the part that just really does me in. I wish that no celebrity really would get involved because, again, they cannot relate to what the common people of America is going through. And they're making it seem like they're on our level. And it's just unfortunate that that is going on. You also said that millionaire class defending millionaire class on behalf of billionaire class so that the trillionaire class can remain in charge, all the while claiming that it's an interest of lower class. Exactly. So do you think, y'all, that he was brought in or tapped on the shoulder to say something? Because it is really heating up to where a lot of people are coming out of the woodworks all of a sudden speaking up. Even Jennifer Lopez also gave an endorsement. It's supposed to go on a rally with her. Charles says, more likes, please. Thanks for sharing. Thank you for that. You said also, quick, folks, we lowly proliterate have to say the Portuguese so that they can eat us alive. No, not that part. Okay, let me get back to this video. I think I read enough of comments, and let's finish what he had to say because, again, he is not saying all that he needs to say, in my mind, to really make sense of why he endorsed Kamala Harris. He is just speaking the same things that we hear on MSNBC, and I don't think that that's good enough. So let's get back to this.
Convicted criminal.
Uh-oh.
He can stand up and lie in your face and then turn right around and say he didn't. That's one of the reasons he's opposing Kamala so much.
Hold on, let's go back.
When Donald Trump was in office, and if you notice, he's put down every person of color that he can. Talking about what they had when he was in office. Are there any middle class people or any poor people who can say that? Who had it so great when Donald Trump was in office? And if you notice, he's put down every person of color that he can. President Obama, he's trying to undo everything that Obama accomplished while he was in office.
He didn't accomplish anything. That's the part. What did he accomplish? Why are we giving Obama so much as if he really did something? What did he do? Tell me, y'all, if he really did something in the chat room. Please let me know. Please inform me. Please enlighten me. I truly do not know. I do not get this part.
And he's doing it because Obama was a black man. He could stand for a black man to be the leader of our country. And that's one of the reasons he's opposing Kamala so much. Because she's a woman of color.
She ain't black. She's not a black American like you and I. So who cares? Who cares?
He's just a bigot. He thinks he's better than you. He thinks he's slicker than you. And he can stand up and lie in your face and then turn right around and say he didn't do it. Say he didn't say it. And you've seen it in person. You've seen him lie. You know that he's a liar. You know that he's a convicted criminal. And he's talking about all the criminals that they're letting into the country. Well, yeah, one is running for president. So,
So forget about the fact that these illegals are coming in here, though. So it's no biggie that all these illegals are coming and replacing black people and other minority people and squeezing us out, making our life a living hell. It's okay for that to go down, though. Why aren't you addressing what the illegals are doing to our community, Smokey? What is the big deal about you just totally being blindsided to that part?
Dare you say that they're letting criminals into the country? And I want you all to stop being ostriches and get your heads out of the sand and see what you're up against. This is the most critical election, like I said, that we've had in my lifetime. And I hope that you all wake up. And I hope that you all go vote. You need to vote. You need to get out and vote. You need to make sure that a man like that does not run our country. We have a beautiful...
Wow. A man like that doesn't run the country. Wow. Who paid him to come? Wow. He's been sent, y'all, by somebody. So everybody's going to probably start blowing up talking about Smokey Robinson because he's an elder. He's a boomer. He's supposed to have knowledge. He's supposed to be leading us. We don't have real leaders in our community. So when we see somebody like this, we're supposed to perk up and listen. But he's given us the wrong information. It's so sad. He's given us the wrong information.
Country. Like I said, we have the most wonderful country that I've ever been to. And I've been to a lot of countries.
It's not going to stay that way if Kamala has it her way. America's not going to stay strong. It's not going to be number one. It's not going to be one world. Once she gets done doing what she's going to do with these illegals and giving them all amnesty and all of that, we're in big trouble. And I don't think you are either caring about it or thinking about it. But I'm hoping that you will see this video and be like, oh, I didn't consider these immigrants really running amok and causing so much problems in Chicago, New York, Pennsylvania, wherever they go. They're causing problems. They're causing more crimes. They're causing more loss of resources. It's drying up and it's affecting the Black community as a whole. Look at Chicago. They're going to have a deficit close to $1 billion. $150 million was spent on these illegals alone, and they still looking for money to put them up in hotels, still running amok. Still running amok in New York. How long can these states sustain that? But you want to talk about criminals, you saying that Trump is a criminal. I would rather vote for a criminal versus a treasonous person such as Kamala Harris. And what she's done to this country should be locking her up in the prison forever.
And he's trying to tell you that America's failing, America's falling down, and all that, you know. We have the great...
But it is. And you don't know that because you're rich. You got $150 million. I think someone said in the chat room, $150 million. You wouldn't know what it means to suffer. You wouldn't know what it means to be broke. You wouldn't know what it means to be poor. You don't know.
This country on earth. And I want to tell you, all you who are talking about what you had when he was in office and you don't have now. Our most precious commodity, the most precious thing that we have is freedom. And he's trying to take that from you. He's trying to take your freedom. He's trying to scare you into voting for him. So
I would say that you're trying to scare us in voting for Kamala. That's exactly what you're doing right now. Somebody's going to take away our freedom. How is he going to take away our freedom? He's not talking about taking away our freedom. He's talking about dealing with illegals. Is that what this is all about? That you're upset about his hard stance to illegals? People that came over here illegally, that broke the law out the gate? Are you having more sympathy for them versus American first? Is that what it is, Smokey?
You guys, like I said, I don't campaign publicly for anybody because I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican. I voted in a lot of elections and I always voted for who I thought was the best person to run our country. And this time, like I said, I think we're voting for good or evil. So you make the choice. I hope you get out and vote, and I hope you vote for Kamala.
Did you know that? But
that's just sad. Smokey Robinson, a legend, an elder, a baby boomer, someone that's supposed to have wisdom beyond my years, and he doesn't. Not in this regard. Not in this regard. Now, like I said before, the only main reason why I voted for Trump was because of the border and because of the migrant crisis. It's really getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Earlier today, J.D. Vance spoke out on Kamala's border policies and the migrant crisis. And I want you to hear from someone that can eloquently express what those entail. He went on to Joe Rogan Experience. And here is a clip that's going to break down the border crisis a whole lot better, more than anyone really expressed it before. And I hope that you get wind of this so that you can understand where some of us who did vote for Trump and will vote for Trump because we want to save America. We don't want to see the destruction of America. We don't want to see implosion of America. We don't want to become a third world country like Venezuela. So let's look at this and understand that this is the main reason why we should, in fact, vote for Trump.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
I'm married to the daughter of immigrants. I do think that immigration can enrich this country. I do think that, immigrants, many of them are bringing a lot of to the table, but we have to be honest with ourselves that permitting 500,000 immigrants in a society like ours is much different than permitting 5 million or 50 million immigrants. And importantly, where are the immigrants coming from? What are their values? What are their economic skills? There's something.
what's their criminal record?
What's their criminal record? There's something very in sort of the modern. Again, this is a new thing because this is not Bill Clinton liberalism. This is
Right.
something that we're seeing today, where they don't even want to talk about the quality and the backgrounds and the skills of people coming into our country. Somehow it's fundamentally racist
Right.
to say, well, we don't want certain people of certain backgrounds to be in the United States of America. No, it's just common sense. I mean, let me sort of give you a very specific example, okay? So, ask yourself, should America accept 100,000 immigrants from Mexico, okay? Just in the abstract. Well, Mexico is a gigantic country with millions upon millions of people. Who are we talking about? Are we talking about people who speak English as a second language and don't have criminal backgrounds? Or are we talking about people who don't even read and write in Spanish and do have criminal backgrounds? Because those same groups of people, even though they come from the country we call Mexico,
Right.
are going to assimilate and contribute to America's society much differently. There's something in the modern liberal mind that doesn't even allow you to ask the question, who does America benefit from bringing into this country? And if the answer is we don't benefit, then why would we bring them into the country?
Well, it's also the concept of being anti-open border somehow or another became attached instead of safety. It became attached to xenophobia.
Yes.
It became attached to racism. And when you confront
And
people,
that's what's alarming to me. Why don't Black Americans know that immigration to America that's illegal especially harms the American people and especially the Black Americans? Why are we now being called divisive, Islamophobic, racist? Now Trump's being a fascist, called Hitler. all these things because we want to protect the border. What's wrong with that picture?
I'll say, do you know that Venezuela is literally opening their prisons and instructing people to just cross into America?
Yes.
Like, no. When you tell one of the wildest ones, I think it was you, we're having a conversation with a woman. We're discussing the gangs in Aurora, Colorado that have
That was
taken
me. Yeah.
And she was like, it's only a couple buildings.
And imagine if that's your community. It's only a couple of apartment complexes, right, with hundreds of people that have been taken over by Venezuelan gangs. I think, Joe, the right number
Is
of
zero.
apartment complexes taken over by Venezuelan gangs is zero.
It's in San Antonio, too. It's happening in San
It's
Antonio.
happening everywhere.
It's so crazy that people don't want to admit to this, because if they do,
Of course, it has a lot to do with the Black community, dummy. Because this is a Black American channel first and foremost, and then it goes to Americans. But I'm speaking to my people that may not pay attention to the news, that may not pay attention to important, pertinent information that's out there, because they're distracted by gossip and by celebrity news. This is why I did this channel, Dead Man, for my people to be able to get the information easily instead of looking for it themselves. So yes, it does have a lot to do with the Black community. False or illegal immigration is bad for America as a whole, but it's worse for Black America as a whole. And since this is a Black American channel, I do have to emphasize that fact.
it's empowering the right.
Yeah.
They think it's going to help Donald Trump get elected. So they're turning a blind eye to dangerous criminals crossing the border with no recourse, no tracking. You can't do anything about it.
Well, you see this in some communities where, because they're small towns and because rapid migrant influx can happen very quickly, where the town population has been doubled. Okay, so you don't even have to assume people are criminals. What does it do to the local public school when all of a sudden 1,000 newcomers show up that don't even speak English, right? What does it do to the hospital system when you now have thousands of people in a small healthcare system that are showing up to get emergency services because they don't have access otherwise to a doctor, and now the American citizen...
People don't time out people for asking if this is a pro-Trump channel, because that's okay for them to wonder and get to know it is a pro-Trump platform. He doesn't need to be timed out. Whoever timed that person out, can you please untime that person?
Have to wait in line for 7 hours to get to see a doctor because we've overwhelmed the local hospital system. What does it do to housing prices? We've seen this in a number of communities, including those that I represent in Ohio. When you bring in thousands upon thousands of people, you cannot build enough houses quickly enough to accommodate that. So the cost of housing becomes unaffordable for American citizens. It is the craziest thing that we've seen in this country, that you don't even allow people to talk about the effects of mass migration anymore. Right. And that's why I think it's one.
And why don't Black people care to talk about it? I happened to catch some of that BET Summit for Black men. They had all the information about Kamala for the economy and all these things that she's supposedly going to do for the black men and all of that. But they skipped over immigration questions. And that should be one of the questions discussed, because we are all living in America with a migrant crisis. Why didn't the Black Man Summit of BET dare tackle with immigration? Because they don't want us to know that that issue does have given a hit to our community. Somehow they want us to just be blind to this fact. And this is why this platform is very important, so that people can know that we do understand that illegal immigration is bad for the Black community, for America as whole. It's not meant to be a blessing. It's being used as a warfare tactic, and it's working beautifully to siphon out all our resources and cause our economy to collapse bit by bit by bit. Trump is seeing it for what it is, and he's telling us, hey, this is what's going on with our country right here. I'm the only one that's willing to do the hard work to turn it back around to where it should be. This is why we need Trump.
The reasons why Donald Trump is going to be elected president, or at least should be elected president, because he's one of the few guys who's saying, you know what, no, we're going to talk about this problem. Yes, some immigrants are good. Some immigrants are not good, and that is an obvious insight to anybody who knows human nature.
What do you think is the goal behind allowing this to take place? Now, first of all, one of the things that Kamala Harris has said was that there was a bill that could have fixed the border problem, but that Donald Trump did not want it to take place because he wanted to keep this as a political talking point.
Totally dishonest. Totally dishonest.
What was the bill?
Okay, here was the bill. What happened is, okay, let me talk about what the bill does first of all. Okay. Number one is it sets a maximum cap on the number of illegal immigrants that we can have before the border shuts down. That maximum cap is 2 million illegal aliens per year. It's like 1.85 million to be more precise. That's number one it did. Number two, it codified what's called catch and release, where a person comes into our country, they're an illegal immigrant, but they say, no, I'm not an illegal immigrant, I'm an asylum seeker. And so their claim for asylum...
All you have to say is, I am an asylum seeker while you're breaking the law. Hey, no, I'm not an illegal. I'm an asylum seeker. Now you got to suddenly treat them different. They suddenly get rights. They suddenly get all these things that we as Americans are losing. And we don't see that that's problematic. He's seeing it. Trump's seeing it. Republicans are seeing it. The world is now seeing it. Now we all have to wake up and see it.
Gets adjudicated, but because there's a backlog, because we have so many, their claim isn't going to be adjudicated for 15 years. So rather than having that person wait in Mexico, we give them a work permit and we give them legal status and we let them come into the United States of America. That's called catch and release. Donald Trump's policy was you have to wait in Mexico. We're not going to catch you and then release you into the country for 15 years. It codified that. In other words, even if Donald Trump became president, and this was why he really hated it, is that he would not be able to undo catch and release if he won the election. It would be codified into American law. Third thing it did, nothing on the border wall.
That's major, being codified into law, and he could not even overturn it. So this is why he discouraged others from taking on that bill that she keeps on saying that he destroyed, because they had it laden with so many other different things to it that made it an amnesty bill instead of what it was meant to be, a border bill. So the trickery of the Democrats, the sneakiness, the slickiness of what the Democrats were calling themselves trying to do, Trump called it out as a patriot does. And he's explaining it very well. I hope that we're finally getting the memo and that Smokey Robinson will see this video and respond.
Nothing on an immigration system called parole, which is supposed to be a case-by-case. You grant parole to people who are fleeing tyranny, but Harris has used parole to the tune of millions upon millions. Mass parole, whole categories of country have been paroled into the United States. It didn't do anything to solve that problem. So it wasn't a border security bill, it was an amnesty bill. Now, in addition to what I just said, it also gave some table scraps to Border Patrol. And that is what allows them to hinge onto that one thing and to say it's a border security bill. No. It was a mass amnesty bill, would have made the border problem 10 times worse. And that's why they ultimately pushed it. And that's why Republicans fought against it. By the way, like 6 Democrats voted against that piece of legislation because they thought it was kind of a disaster. So it was not a bipartisan border bill. And in fact, it was much more bipartisan, the opposition to the legislation, but it has allowed Kamala Harris to go around and dishonestly claim that she cares about the southern border, even though when she came into office, they bragged about undoing all of Donald Trump's successful border policies. They did exactly that. And then we had the massive migrant invasion that we've seen in the last 3 years.
And I think it was good on you in the debate with Tim Walz when they fact-checked you. They tried to check you and say that this has always been in place. And you stepped up and said, no. This app is new, and this app was specifically used for shipping.
Yes.
And now they're using it to schedule people to illegally come into the country. Here's the question.
Sure.
Why? Why is this happening? What do you think? I mean, obviously speculation a little bit, but what do you think the motivation of allowing this to take place and the disproportionate number of people that have moved to swing states, which is also like a little suspicious?
So depends on how many tinfoil hats do you have in this room?
I got a lot, dude. I got a wardrobe.
We can get real serious about this real quick, or pretty crazy very quickly. Look, I think what is obvious is, and I've seen this in the halls of Congress, I've seen it very explicitly. You talk about lobbying, and we obviously talked about in the context of other industries. There is a massive corporate lobby for cheap labor in the United States of America. And that is, I think, the main thing that's going on. Think about this. If you've got millions of illegal aliens, okay, let me tell you a story. In 2017, 2018, when I was in the private sector, I was at a business conference dinner, and I was seated next to the CEO of one of the largest hotel chains in America. This is, I think, probably 2018. And the guy is going on and on about how much he hates Donald Trump. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, why do you hate Donald Trump so much? Because again, I was sort of a Trump skeptic in 2015, and at this point, I was kind of starting to really get on the Trump train. And he said, well, the reason I hate Donald Trump, he says, is because Donald Trump's border policies have cut down the number of illegal immigrants. And because I can't pay illegal immigrants under the table anymore, I have to pay American workers, and they want much higher wages. And I was like, this guy just admitted it. I was like, holy shit, this guy just admitted it.
That's a crime.
That is like straight up monopoly, man, evil shit that this guy admitted to. And I was like, my wife, who's very apolitical, she was actually at the dinner with me, and she's like, come again? You just said you don't want Americans to get...
Guys, hear that? Don't want Americans to get those jobs. Don't want to get those wages. So there's a lot of people out there hoping that Trump won't win because they have other agendas that want to take advantage of the economies and rules and whatnot, and use these illegals towards, selling us out and leaving the American people high and dry. So I hope that whoever's listening would please appreciate the video by liking the video and also subscribing to my channel.
Decent wages, like that is the best argument for Donald Trump's immigration policy, is that American workers are getting higher wages, and this is why this corporate CEO hates it. So whatever the industry is, you've got a lot of people who want cheap labor, and they don't want to pay American workers higher wages. That's a big part of it. I do think there's also a power dynamic to it. In particular, I think Kamala Harris and the Democrats, they want to give these millions upon millions of illegal aliens the right to vote. They want to legalize them. They want to make it easier for them to participate.
That's exactly what they want to do. They want to legalize the illegals to vote so that they can hijack the total election coming up and all the other ones that will follow forever, and not allow the Republicans have the opportunity to ever come back into power. They will be in power for the duration. That's what the Democrats are hoping to do by having these illegals come in. And they're hopeful to steal our votes too, which we can't allow. And the only person that's trying to stop that is Trump.
Our elections, and that means fundamentally the end of American democracy. Because you're talking about 25 million people here. If Kamala Harris gives 10 million of those people legal status and allows them to vote in American elections, then say 70-30 they go Democrat, Republicans will never win a national election in this country in my lifetime.
And the only way to get them on your side would be the Republicans offer the same services and maybe even be more generous in letting illegals in.
Exactly.
I mean, you'd have to literally beat them at their own game. Like, I'm going to give you a free house.
Yeah, no, I mean, it lifetime's probably overstating it, but it would take 30 years for the Republicans to get to a point where we could even compete with these newcomers. But again, it will have degraded the voting power of the people who have the legal right to be here.
And it would essentially turn these states blue forever. The same way they've done California.
Exactly. And we saw this. And look, I'm like a Reagan guy, right? I'm a conservative Republican. But Reagan screwed up a lot. He screwed up mental health in this country. People don't talk nearly enough about that.
The amnesty thing he really screwed up.
The amnesty thing he really screwed up.
Yeah.
And people always say, well,
Yeah, he really screwed up. And now we're in the situation that we're in right now, 2024, with all these illegals over here. Let me see what you guys are saying before I continue. I hope that people understood the bill a lot better, because I never heard nobody explain it the way that JD Vance explained it. And he did a wonderful job explaining it. So that's why I voted for Trump. It's not to be silly and stupid and thinking that, Trump is God or anything, but he does have a mind when it comes to the border. And the Democrats don't care about the border because they want to keep power. They want to keep their power. I'm subscribing to your channel. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And you're from Rhode Island. Okay. Thank you for calling. Thank you for stopping by in the comment section. Let me go back up and see who else is here. What's up, Leonard? How are you doing? What's up, Pinky Wells? Thank you for coming through. Thank y'all for coming back. For those that are back in the chat room, what's up, Tammy Pierce? Thank you for coming back. Like, share, and subscribe. Yes, thank you. You said the policy isn't just and conquer, it starts with divide. And Lauren says, we do need President Trump and the dream team. JD was awesome on JRE today. Yes, he was. I'm going to get to see the rest of the interview, but I wanted to play the part about the border because he really did break it down, and I might play the rest of it before I go. Bruce says, whoever is speaking is doing a great job articulating themselves. Thank you. Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that. Constable says, I'm not a citizen officer. I'm a sovereign citizen. Gets arrested anyway. Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you for subbing. I really appreciate that. And Pinky says, those are not asylum seekers. Those are people fleeing poverty, and America has to take care of them. Well, that's all they have to say is those magic little words, and they get in. Constable says, can we get the wall? Sorry, Ukraine. K, wall now? Sorry, Ukraine and Israel. All right, how about now? Sorry, Ukraine and Israel and migrants need FEMA money. Oh, for... Okay. Sninger says, surprised you can't see the bullshit physically flying out of his mouth. No, I think that you are not listening because you are watching a lot of MSNBC, but that's your opinion. Constable says, see, publicans don't want wall. All right. Black Lives Make America Great Again. Table Walk Lake says, yes, make America great again. Somebody make it great again already. BlackRock. Oh yeah, BlackRock is another one that's involved, just like George Soros. There's a whole lot of different entities that's involved with trying to change America, and they have a lot of money to gain with the destruction of America. And it's kind of shameful, but that's what's going on. Bruce says, no shame. Constable Cordelius says, the second in command of the WEF, an Israeli known as Yuval Noah, says that borders should not exist. See, that's what they believe. And if they have it their way, America's not going to be America in the next 4 years, give or take. Pinky says those fast food jobs in California are paying $20 an hour. Some restaurants closed, and the ones that stayed open have less employees. Yeah, that's what I see is going on. So they don't want us making a lot of money per hour. So it is it's getting really scary out here. Pinky says, Constable, in the countries where people don't want to work to lift their countries out of poverty can all pile in on us borders. Exactly. They're taking over, man. Fred says Walgreens is closing over 2,500 stores. Oh my goodness. Wow. Even Walgreens, man, everywhere that you go, we're hearing of all these jobs getting closed down. Constable says Pinky Wells, exactly. The wealth doesn't circulate. It gets leached out and tossed into the global economy, even towards our enemies. Pinky says is not stolen land. There were people here before the Europeans arrived. Gail says, I subscribe. I love listening to you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, Gail. Pinky says, African, no trolling today, and white women don't want you. Bye. No, you didn't. Okay. Constable says, Link, Flint, Robert, where was I? Of Black Rock, both Jewish. George Soros, also Jewish. Yuval Noah Alexander, also Jewish. It all makes sense, doesn't it? You said, I'm not saying it's all them, but they sure seem to revolve around harmful actions towards the nation. It does seem to appear that they have a lot to do with what is going on wrong in America. Unfortunately, that is the truth. Maine Mermaid says Trump for blacks, support zones, prison reform, secured annual funding for HUVC, school choice, funding for school lunch programs, after school programs, YMCA programs, college scholarships, funding to all B colleges. Okay. Well, let me finish up what J.D. Vance had to say, and I'm going to conclude this video. I just wanted to do a reaction video to what Smokey Robinson had says. For those who missed what Smokey Robinson had to say earlier, let me know if you want to hear it one more time before I go. I'll play the rest of J.D. Vance, which is talking about the border, which is the primary reason why I voted for Trump. It is no other reason other than that border and this migrant crisis that I believe is the primary issue that is affecting America overall. It is not a figment of my imagination, is what's really going on. And the only one that's been vocal about it is the Republicans. The Democrats don't want you to know. They don't want you to care. They just want you to go along for the ride. And that's not working out for me. And it seems that these celebrities, the black celebrities like Smokey Robinson, has been called, summoned, paid, something, influenced to get involved to try to wrangle us to vote for Kamala. And she is not for us. She's not thinking about what she's going to do to bless us. It's all about what other people such as George Soros is saying in her ear.
And people always say, well, Ronald Reagan, when they, critics of Donald Trump will say, well, look at how Reagan talked about immigration. Because of what Ronald Reagan did with the 1986 amnesty, California is now effectively permanently blue state.
Except when Arnold won.
But Arnold ran as a super moderate Republican. He was a major celebrity, right? He was at the height of his celebrity power, and he still won barely, even though California had been mismanaged. California is a one-party state because of Ronald Reagan's amnesty.
And that's the fear, is that the entire country could become one party.
The entire country becomes that. Now, it also, you may not appreciate this, but even if you don't give people the right to vote, it really distorts congressional apportionment and then the Electoral College. You know how this works?
Yes, okay. I do. But explain it to people, please.
Okay. So how many, we have 435 congressional seats. The way that you draw those congressional districts is that you try to draw them evenly based on population so that everybody has equal representation, right? One person, one vote, fundamental principle of American law. But you don't just count the American citizens. You also count the illegal aliens. And so, for example, the state of Ohio lost a congressional seat in the last census, and states that have high illegal immigrant populations picked up congressional seats. So you're actually taking away congressional representation from American citizens and giving it to illegal aliens. Even if you don't give them the right to vote, you're still destroying the voting power of American citizens.
Because it's based on population.
It's based on population, including illegal immigrants.
Is there a way to change it so that it's only based on legal American citizens?
Well, Donald Trump tried a proposal that Democrats went nuts over and was litigated in the courts, so we would have to try again, that would ask citizenship status during the U.S. Census. The idea being that if you ask more people their citizenship status, you get fewer people who are answering that question. I think that we should make it, and I do think this would require an act of Congress, but I think that it would be constitutional, is we should just say that illegal aliens are not counted for purposes of congressional representation.
Yeah, I mean,
Democrats would call that racist, but it's just common sense policy.
Well, especially if it's been shown that you're manipulating it by moving more people to these places, and even if they're not legal citizens and they can't vote, it still counts as congressional seats.
Correct.
That's kind of crazy.
That's exactly right.
It doesn't. The one that drives me the most crazy is this idea that somehow or another it's discriminatory to require ID to vote. That can only mean, I've tried to look at this from the most charitable position outside of it. Only makes sense if you're trying to cheat.
That's exactly right.
You need an ID for everything.
Yeah.
You need an ID to rent a car.
Well, it's basically illegal now in California to ask for voter ID,
which is crazy.
Which is totally insane. But my view, and I'm sure you got many listeners in the great state of California. The next time you're pulled over by a police officer, just tell them that you're on your way to vote.
I've seen that meme.
I mean, think about this.
Yeah.
But you can't, if you can't require people to show voter ID, then I think you're inviting fraud into your system. And there's also something implicitly very racist about this, because what they say is voter ID means that black people aren't going to vote. Well, number one, if you look at polls, the same level of support for voter ID exists in the black community as in the white community. It's about 75-80% of blacks, 75-80% of whites support voter ID, but they're basically saying that black people can't get identification. When they say that voter ID is racist, they're implicitly saying black people can't get identification. I think that's an actual racist concept.
That's a way of allowing the illegals to slip in behind the guise of blacks having a problem with trying to vote without their ID. Because most of us have IDs. We have bank accounts. We have, we need a ID to get in a club. You need an ID to buy beer, to buy cigarettes. You need an ID by law, according to, in case the police pull you over. So most of us have an ID, unless you're homeless, unless you got robbed, unless you went to jail and you lost it or something like that. Most people have an ID and have access to getting their birth certificate and their SSI to get another one in case they lost it. So it's not really that big of an issue when it comes to black people, but they're making us the poster child of having that problem, because they're putting everything on us for everything when they want to make changes for other people. When they want to make advancements for other groups of people, they use our plight, our fight, our name involved to include us for so-called having issues with voting. And that's not our issue. It would be the illegals' issue. And they don't want them to have to show ID because they're not legally here. So that's what it's all boiled down to.
Concept, I actually assume that my fellow or the black citizens are my fellow Americans, and they can do the same thing that every other citizen can do, which is get identification.
Yep. That's about right, y'all. We have ID, we have means. I went and got me a new ID recently. You just take in your old ID and you get a new one. So let me see what you guys are saying. Then I'm going to conclude this video. I didn't want to be on here too long, but I wanted to respond to Smokey Robinson. I don't know if he will respond or not, but I did at him. So it is my attempt to have him respond, because I feel like him being a big superstar, artist, celebrity, he should be more responsible for not wanting to try to get Harris to be promoted by him when he's not really expressing why, other than the rhetoric of what's been spewed about Trump on media, social media, and on the media. Okay. Gail says Europe is also having a very large problem with their open borders. Exactly, Gail. So we're not the only ones. This is global. But it has to give, or we won't have control over what's going on in America. That's all we are saying. What's so difficult about that? Pinky saying Gavin Newsom is the governor of California. He's friends with Kamala and, of course, advocating for her to vote for her. But not to vote. No, I would say you need to vote for Trump because leaving it to chance gives wiggle room for cheaters to come in. Oh, in fact, I was going to show a video about that. Cheaters coming in and cheating. Yeah, that's another reason why. Now my voice is going out. Let me see. Let me play this real quick for y'all.
As you know, we're less than a week out from Election Day, and ballot counting is underway in many counties across Colorado.
And in Gilpin County, an election watcher dismissed from her role for being disruptive. At least that's what the county clerk says. Fox 31's Rachel Sauer breaks down what the rules are and what went down there. Rachel.
Yeah, Talia and Jeremy. Well, an election watcher is basically another layer of security in an election where they watch the process and verify the conduct of the election. Now, they have to be a registered voter in the state of Colorado and complete a watcher's training course. Donna Okray-Parman has been involved in elections since before she moved to Gilpin County 10 years ago.
Also involved in community activities, and so I was not a watcher or a judge, but I was very interested in it.
At the beginning of 2024, she became a watcher for the 2024 primaries, where she says she found roughly 14 discrepancies.
This is really to find the ballots that are not fair, not real. They need a second look. That's what it's about.
According to the Secretary of State's office, watchers must go through a 10-minute training process and must be registered to vote in Colorado. And they're allowed to have personal visual access at a reasonable proximity to read documents, writings, or electronic screens, and reasonable proximity to hear election-related discussions between election judges and electors. Parman says her job in the primaries and on Tuesday was to verify the signature on the back of mail ballot envelopes, which she says is where the trouble began.
This clerk has taped off a square on the floor 5 feet away from the ballot.
Parman says she could not see the screen or the envelope to verify the signatures, so she moved her chair a few inches over, then brought it to the attention of the county clerk, Sahari McCormick, who later dismissed her. McCormick said in a statement to Fox 31, this watcher was dismissed for disrupting the process and insisting they were going to verify the signatures themselves. This is not the role of the watcher. This watcher was given several warnings before being dismissed.
And I said, what? She said, you're dismissed, you can leave. And I said, Sahari, I'm just asking to see the ballot, the envelope. And she called the police.
The Gilpin County Sheriff's Office says their deputy resolved the situation peacefully, and the poll watcher left the area without incident. No charges were filed. Newsroom, Rachel Sauer, Fox 31.
That's just a weird phenomenon with people being real sketchy about checking over the ballots and who's saying what. I think there's going to be a whole host of alleged fraudsters that's taking effect. There's another story. Hold on. Registration fraud out in York, Lancaster counties. Hold on.
And with just days until the election, voter registration fraud allegations are ramping up across the state. Fox 43's Sydney Norman joining us this evening to break down what we know about those issues at this hour.
Yeah, Evan, there have been a series of claims made in the last week pointing to possible voter registration fraud across multiple counties in PA. Here's what we know right now. On Friday, Lancaster County officials said that they identified fraudulent voter registration applications that were turned into the elections office. Officials have not yet released how many of those applications have been flagged for fraudulent information, but stated that they were identified and separated from the rest of the batch of about 2,500 applications. This week, the York County Office of Elections said they also recently received a large delivery of voter registration and mail-in ballot applications. Thousands of those forms came from the third-party group Field and Media Corps, which is an Arizona-based consulting firm. While election officials say it's not unusual to receive those influx of these forms as the deadline for submission gets closer, York County officials are taking a closer look at the forms in this shipment before jumping to any conclusions. Field and Media Corps was also tied to another instance of several voter registration applications being investigated in Monroe County, Pennsylvania. Today, District Attorney Mike Mancuso stated in a Facebook post that during a routine review of voter registration and mail-in ballot applications, 30 irregular forms were separated from the group. After an investigation was launched, several of those forms were identified as fraudulent. In one instance, the individual listed on the application is dead. Evan, now there's a lot of information going around right now, and with the election in just a few days, people are eager for answers. We will continue to monitor these stories, or these issues as they develop, and I will have more information on what these incidents could mean for Pennsylvania voters tonight on Fox 43 News at 10 after the World Series.
And that's Sydney, as you mentioned.
I'm sure there's going to be a whole host of other fraudulent instances that do take effect before this election is all said and done. We got to get ready. Unfortunately, our celebrities are sold out. Many of them are jumping out of windows and off cliffs to speak on behalf of Kamala Harris, and she is the furthest thing that they should be propping up. Someone that has let us down already and has really done a lot of damage to our country should not be promoted at all. So with that being said, I didn't want to be on here too long. I do have respect for Smokey Robinson. He just has let me down a little bit. I hope that he will get wind of this video and will do an update video about why he is actually against Trump, because he didn't do a good job in this video. He stated things that other people are stating off the media. It's as if he was given a script to read and he was reading a piece of paper. So it's really frustrating, but this is what we got going on. All our celebrities have sold out. And Trump, I hope, still will win. I hope he still will persevere so that we will not be a second world or third world country. So with that being said, please like and share the video. I think I'm going to play one song before I go. Someone gave a request for me to play Rose Royce, Love Don't Live Here Anymore. And then I'm going to go. Thank y'all for listening. I really appreciate you. Please like and share the video. Please subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you the next time. I might be taking off tomorrow for a break to get ready for this election. We have, y'all, just we have just 5 more days left, and it's curtains. For a second. Yeah, we have 5 days left, and then it's going to be curtains for the elections. A lot of drama's coming up. I got to get ready for that.
You abandoned me. Love don't live
don't live here anymore. Just emptiness and memories of what had before. You went away on another place to stay, another home. You